In this video, I'm going to show you a tricky little model train layout with a gimmick designed into it. I'm going to send these two trains down parallel tracks, and then those tracks are going to merge into one. And if I've designed this thing just right, the two trains will just barely avoid a collision when they meet up and share the center return track. One cool thing about this layout is that you can do this with model trains of any scale, and it can be done on either digital systems or analog systems. So if you've got model trains at home, whether they're HO, G-scale, Lego, or whatever, if you've got enough track to do a big layout like this, after you watch this video, if you'd like a little challenge, see if you can make your trains do what you're about to see here. And if you can, shoot a video of it and post a link to your video in the comments. Okay, let's go. I'm sending the trains down the track side by side at the exact same speed. The question is, when those two tracks merge at the other end of the house, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a crash? Well, we're about to find out. Success! It worked exactly as designed. No collision. Okay, so far so good. Now let me show you what happens at the other end of the house after the trains make it back on that center return track. We're going to split the trains up again onto individual tracks and send them back around for another go at it. Flipping that switch at the exact right moment is absolutely critical to making this thing work. And while the trains are working their way around the layout again, let me just explain that the real trick to making this layout work is to make sure that each side of the two halves of this layout are exactly the same length. If either side of the layout is a little bit longer than the other, the two trains will get out of sync and throw the timing off. And a layout like this is all about the timing. As you can see, it's perfectly designed so that as long as the two trains travel at the exact same speed, the timing will be just right when they meet up at that shared center return track, and there won't be a crash. Now, in case you haven't figured it out already, there's a very deliberate difference in the design of the two halves of the layout that allows the two trains to run side by side down the hallway, yet arrive at the shared center section of the track with just enough separation to avoid a crash. And maybe you already figured this out on your own, but all I had to do was put a little more track on Thomas's side of the layout than I did on Percy's side of the layout. And that way the two trains don't meet up at the junction at the exact same time. But remember I said that the key to making this all work was to make sure that both halves of the layout are exactly the same length. So because I've got a little more track down at this end of the house on Thomas's side of the layout, down at the other end of the house, I've got exactly the same amount of extra track on Percy's side of the layout as I did on Thomas's side at the other end of the house. And that way, over the length of the entire layout, each side is exactly the same length. And that makes the timing work just perfectly every time. I'm Jim Zim. Setting up a unique new layout for my model trains every time I run them is the most fun part for me. I love the challenge of coming up with something new each time. If you check out some of my other model train videos on my YouTube channel, you'll see that each layout in each video is just a little different than all the others. And on the screen right now, you should be seeing links to a few other videos I'd like to recommend.